One more minute. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much again for tuning in this morning. Well, it's morning in Rock Island. It might be very late where you guys are calling us from, but thank you so much. Today's session is going to be on computer science. We're going to talk about mathematics. We're going to talk about jobs and careers. With us today, we have several guest speakers. Before we get in, I'm just going to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Evan Juarez. I am the International Admissions Counselor at Augustana College. So today I'm bringing these people together. I'm bringing you with professors in the field of computer science and mathematics. Just common courtesy, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We can respond to them later. If you have any particular admissions questions, I ask that you send those directly to me at International Admissions at Augustana. And that way I can answer your admissions questions there. Okay, so thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Stonedahl if you want to get us started.
Great, thank you for that introduction. And I think I'd like I think it'd make the most sense if we went around and did introductions for each each of the faculty and each of the students, or actually, as he said, no longer students. I think of them as students, but alumni. Maybe we have I don't know if we have any current students as well, but. So I'll start again. I'm a computer science professor here at Augustana. I've been here for about 10 years. My areas of research interest are about computer simulations involving multiple agents and also artificial intelligence, specifically evolutionary algorithms, although more recently I've been trying to explore some deep learning and deep neural networks, since that's at the forefront of AI. But I'll turn and pass it over then to Andrew.
Hello. So my name is Andrew Sward. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming in? Yep. So I'm chair of the Math and Computer Science Department. I'm an applied mathematician. I've also been at Augustana for about 10 years. Dr. Stonedahl and I started in the same year. So my research interests include differential equations, some abstract algebra, as well as blockchain research. Dr. Stonedahl and I and a student had published a paper a couple of years ago on data insertion in Bitcoin's blockchain. So I've done other projects with students related to smart contracts, NFTs, blockchain type technologies. So that's very exciting to me. And yeah, I'll turn it over to whoever's next.
Truong, fine. Do you want to say a few words?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm not in computer science or math, but I'm a finance professor at the business administration. I'm really interested in all the different measures, and then I try to help students to know, to learn how they can best prepare for college and for the job market. So I'm happy here today. Thank you so much. I think next we have Sơn and Minh and Nguyen, the three guest speakers that I can see in my list here. And then we have Henry Nghiem, and he will join a little bit later. Thank you so much.
I can go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Sơn. I graduated from Augustana College in 2020. I double major in computer science and applied math. So I have been a student of both Dr. Sward and Dr. Stonedahl. Currently, I'm a data engineer at Squarespace. Ming, if you want to go next.
Oh, yeah. My name is Ming. I graduated in 2020, also double majoring in computer science and math. So I both know Dr. Stonedahl and Dr. Sward. And I currently do front end. I'm a front end engineer at Amazon, doing employee relation application, and do a lot of Reacts and lots of things. So that's about me.
Hello, Hi, my name's Nguyen. Hi everyone. I'm sorry, I cannot start the camera right now because Windows doesn't let me to do on Zoom for some reason. But I graduated in Augustana in 2021 with double major in applied math and computer science. And I'm currently a front-end engineer at Aquent, developing some web application for our clients. Thank you.
Well, that's great. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you. At this time, I think the professors, if you guys want to, give a little bit of a background on computer science, mathematics, and talk about the types of programs that you guys are teaching.
Sure, I can go first on that. And again, I don't want to take a lot of time because it is exciting to have some alumni back to talk about their real world experiences. But I can say a few words about computer science. I think it's a really exciting time to be in computer science. There's always new developments, whether that's artificial intelligence. Now there's a lot of kind of AI coding assistance, which can make it actually easier in some ways to build more ambitious projects with AI co-pilots kind of helping you out, things like that. And at the same time, there's a wide range of new technologies, whether again that's blockchain or other things that students can experiment with, and a lot of great tools to build. At Augustana, we like to do some project-oriented learning. So again, after the first couple of classes, again, those might have small projects, but again, learning some basic coding skills in languages like Python, which is very useful for machine learning and AI. And then also Java, which is, again, a very solid business-oriented language used in a lot of companies, especially for back-end work. And it's a good language to learn about fundamentals of algorithms and data structures in. But then again, after a couple of courses, hopefully students will take a more project-oriented course like software development, where they can spend time working in teams to work on, again, a significant piece of software across that whole semester to get the experience of building something larger. And that's, again, probably one of my first pieces of advice for internships and getting careers is that you should work on projects. Again, we're going to push you to work on some projects inside of class, but our most successful students are those who work on projects outside of class and inside of class. Again, it's never really too early to get started working on projects. If you're in high school, again, you started to learn to code some things, think of some kind of project you'd like to build toward and use that to help guide your learning. So you're not just learning random skills or whatever you hear somebody else talking about, but learning skills that would help you to build something. And then if you build something, you can put that on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile. And it gives you something to talk about if you can get to that first interview stage where you're talking to a real person. Of course, you also need to get to that interview stage, and there's some other things you want to do for that. Again, including, earning reasonably good grades. It doesn't need to be like super high grades, but in your especially math and computer science coursework. Also, working on your fundamental programming skills. And if you want to work at some of the big tech companies, also, you really need to kind of practice the kinds of technical problems that those companies ask. And they will do, kind of puzzle type coding problems. They will do advanced algorithms problems. So some of that will help prepare you in our data structures and algorithms courses. But again, to be successful at interviewing at some of those big tech companies, you will need to do more self-study and practice some of those problems and read up on the interview process, the different stages that it goes through to do that. And the different companies are very different. Again, I know like Aquent, I think they focused more on your ability to build hands-on stuff using front-end tools that they're using, web development, and kind of made you do sort of little mini projects to prove that you could do it before they would hire you. It's my understanding. Whereas again, someplace like maybe Google or Meta may go through more of these kind of puzzle solving hoops and algorithms and explaining yourself on a whiteboard or on a computer screen through virtual links and make you talk through the problem. So not only being able to solve it and code it, but also being able to communicate and explain what you're doing and explain what you're thinking. And again, that's something we try to emphasize at a liberal arts college. No matter what major you choose, we want our students to be good communicators. We give you practice presenting in front of the class on special topics. And of course, also writing assignments, the ability to write down and to communicate clearly, or to do presentations, those kinds of things. So I've talked too long already. I'll turn it over to Andrew for a brief overview of some of the math and maybe career preparation in math as well.
Hello. So I'll talk a little bit about the math programs we have at Augustana. We have 3 different math majors. We have a pure math major, applied math major, and a math for secondary education major if you're interested in teaching mathematics as a profession. And so I mostly I mostly teach in the applied sector, the applied math areas. So we have for the applied track, the applied mathematics pairs very nicely with a second major. So we have a lot of students that do like applied math and computer science, or applied math and physics, applied math and economics or finance. We don't have an actuarial program, but I do work with students that are interested in becoming actuaries. And so I do independent studies with students to prepare for the actuary exams. And I've done that for a number of years now. I'm currently working with 2 students this semester, preparing for the financial math exam, the FM test for actuaries. And with our coursework in applied math, we have differential equations is kind of a cornerstone course. A lot of the engineering majors will take differential equations. The applied math majors will take differential equations. That's kind of a big course. And then we also have another cornerstone course that's math modeling, which is another course that kind of intersects between math and computer science. So in the modeling course, we do things like simulations. We write everything in Python for that course. So we emphasize using the computer to solve difficult math problems that would probably be too difficult to solve by hand. So things like running simulations or doing linear programming, optimization type problems. So those are the types of problems that we tackle in the math modeling course. And then the culmination of the major, it culminates into the senior inquiry. And so the senior inquiry course is generally a special topics kind of course. It's usually partial differential equations. So we look at like the heat equation, the wave equation. There's some applications to finance there through what's called the Black-Scholes equation for valuing options in the stock market. So we explore some of those topics, and students do the students kind of pick their own interest in that field and give a research talk at the end of the term. I'll talk a little bit about pure math. So pure math, the main courses in pure math would be like real analysis and abstract algebra. So these are very proof-based, proof-oriented courses where you're essentially proving theorems every day in class. Sometimes you'll be working with a group of students at the whiteboard, trying to do a proof for the day. Other times it's you're just working on homework problems together. There's a nice camaraderie in the department. I think a lot of students will group up and work together, either in class or outside of class. We have a student lounge in the math building on the second floor near all the professors' offices. And I'm always kind of walking by there to see if any of my students are in there, need help with any problems and things like that. And so the students have a nice space to get together and work on problems. We also have a computer lab, dedicated computer lab for our computer science students to work. And occasionally their classes might be held in there, but usually we try to keep it open for students to work on their assignments in the computer lab. And we also have a Beeling Scholars program So I'll talk a little bit about that. So I'm also the Beeling Chair. So this is an endowed chair for undergraduate research in mathematics and computer science. And so every year I work with usually a handful of students, usually somewhere between like 3 to 5 students on different projects that we try to present. We try to do some kind of usually some original research, and we present that at various conferences. So usually every year in the spring, we go to the ISMAA, which is the Illinois section of the Math Association of America. And so this year I'm bringing like 5 or 6 students to the conference in March. It's coming up pretty quick. And occasionally, if we have like a really outstanding project, we might go to the national math conference, which is called Math Fest. And that's held in a different city every year. So one year was in Chicago, so that was pretty close by. So that was nice. I've also gone when it was in Washington, D.C. A couple of years ago in 2021, I took a student and we went to Philadelphia. And so there's a lot of opportunities to work directly with professors on research or other topics that you might just want to learn about that we might not have a course in. You can usually find somebody to do a directed study with and learn a topic that you might not be able to take a specific course in.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Andrew. It's worth mentioning again, if you're interested in graduate school, it's particularly helpful to do some kind of research experience as an undergraduate. That helps to prepare you and maybe help you get into graduate school. But again, most of our computer science majors do not choose to go to graduate school, at least not right away. Some of them, again, often go out and work in industry first, and then maybe consider getting a master's degree or even a PhD at some point later. But some people just know already they want to do the academic track. They like to become a professor or something like that. In general, industry tends to pay a little better than academia. But let me go ahead and let's get some responses from our alumni who are so kind to join us. I see we have some compiled questions now. At this point, too, feel free to start asking questions in the chat because, again, we'd like to answer your questions, those of you who are here. So again, feel free to post things. But right now, I'll start it off. I think in general, people are curious about like what kinds of things, maybe what kinds of things you did. Oh, I see Nathan Nguyen is your video's working. Awesome. So what kinds of things you did, what kinds of experiences, courses, or extracurricular, what did you do during college that helped prepare you for careers after college, either for getting the jobs or being successful in those jobs or careers while you were at Augustana? Who'd like to take that first?
I can go first. Yeah, so for me personally, I think during my 4 years of college in Augustana, I had, I think, like 3 internships during my sophomore year, junior year, and one for my senior year. I believe 2 of them are of the same company, which is the one that I actually end up as my first position after college. And then one of them is from a program, like a college program that I interned in New York. So I feel like all of these experience really have shaped like what I'm interested in to do like in the future. Like right now I go into the data engineer field because I feel like those experience really shape my career progression. And I do believe that I'm interested in like learning more about some of the skill set, like because computer science is a very big field. So I feel like if you be able to kind of like know what you like or want to focus on, I feel like that would be the best course of action for you. And you kind of like gear your experience towards what you want to do. And of course, it's a very big field, so you have a lot of freedom to choose what you want to do and do what you want to do. So that is my experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. So getting an internship is often a really key step on the road toward getting a more long-term career, getting job offers. So can you say a little bit about how you got those internships? I know one of those that you worked with CORE, which is our Office Career Opportunities Research and Explorations. And we have an office with a dedicated staff that will help students to, again, locate opportunities, help them with their resumes, help them with applying some of those things. In your case, it was sort of a study away internship, right? That was the one in New York?
Yes. Yep. The one in New York was like a study away opportunity. I think it was like a term that I didn't study at school, but instead I went to New York, or there's also other, I think, locations like Australia, like other countries and other states that you can apply and be a part of that program. I just happened to pick the one in New York because my sister's there and I love New York as a city. So I picked that. But yeah, I think that was a great opportunity for me, being able to kind of like get away from the college for a term, kind of like experience what real life experience would look like, experience how living by myself, like going to a job like 9 to 5 job and stuff like that would look like. I feel like that is a great experience for me. And I feel like after that experience, I come back to college, I kind of like have a better understanding of what I want to do, or like what I want to be after college, and kind of like just focusing on that and applying.
And how did you get the Washington, D.C. internship?
Yes.
Those
So
were
about that,
summer internships, right?
yeah. So the Washington D.C. are both summer internship of my sophomore and junior year. I believe I just kind of like mass applying, because from personal experience, I believe that like getting a job or getting an internship is more of a number game than like kind of like focusing on your dream job and stuff like that. Because especially when the market is bad, I do believe that the more you apply, the more chance you have to kind of like get into a job or like get into an interview. It's probably just about like the probability theory, about like the more you apply, the more chance you have to get into something that you may like. So I do believe that just kind of like expanding your skill set, mass applying to a lot of places that can utilize your skill set. And I feel like when the opportunity comes, you just need to be ready and be at your best mental state to be able to try your best and succeed.
Awesome, thank you. How about Ming? What experiences were helpful career-wise or professionally for you?
Yeah, so I would endorse Sun comment on getting ready for the internships, and I'd like to touch on the classes that we offered Augustana College. So before, I really liked the way that we shape our classes. So it went from learning the language basics to learn about algorithms and data structure. That is really important in interviews. And because I really like solving problems, I do a lot of like practice problems, like Dr. Stonedahl mentioned, that would prepare you for interviews. And then you do a lot of those, you'll be ready for interviews that you may have in the future. Um, and also like we have a lot of hands-on classes, like it was software development and also senior capstone project, which also shaped my career right now, because we touch on React as a framework back then, and it made me realize I like front-end development, and I went into that field. And yeah, so just focus a lot on your fundamentals is was my experience. It got that really strong background.
And you also did a study abroad internship, right? Was it just classwork over? I think you had an internship work in Australia, is that right?
Yeah. So from that I believe Augie Choice program, I don't know how you guys call it now, but back then it was Augie Choice, gives you a grant to do whatever you want. I think for Sun, he took an internship, but for me, I also took an internship, but an overseas one in Australia. So I went for a term, study abroad, do a nice internship there with a startup in Australia, and it was pretty cool, like seeing a different culture and yeah, having a different experience than studying abroad in the States.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes and we have a lot of international students come to Augustana, and sometimes they think, well, they're already studying abroad, but a lot of them have an appetite to, again, be even more global, experience either more of the United States or more other countries, and that can be, again, CORE can help people with that. As Ming mentioned, yeah, students who come to Augustana each get $2,000 that they can dedicate to it's called Augie Choice, and they can use that either for a study abroad experience or an internship or a research experience, one of those things. I see we do have some questions in the chat, but let me first at least let Nathan briefly say what experiences were or things that he did during his college career might have been impactful or useful for his professional development.
Hi, thanks, Dr. Stonedahl, and thanks, Ming and Sun. So I think I do agree with both Ming and Sun on their point. And Augie Choice, I think it's a really great program for you to like really carefree about the place you ended up with the program that you choose because it helped you financially. I think one thing that is also important is that you plan ahead. So I think you should plan by like sophomore year, you would try to do like a small internship. Like by third year, you would end up do Augie Choice, something like that, so that you can arrange your class to your schedule, and then you can also know ahead of time what you want to do, and then you can get practice for. Yeah. I also did like an Augie Choice program in Colorado, and I did like a front end developing job there. And I was also interning at like an opportunity at ITS school, and it really helped shaping me toward working with React as a framework and being a front end developer.
Great, thank you. Andrew, do you want to take the first question in the chat about applied math? You're muted.
Let's see. So the question is asking about student faculty ratio in the applied math courses and how does the math class operate? Yeah, so as you move up into the higher levels of applied math, the class sizes become much smaller. So in in our introductory sequences like pre-calculus or calculus, those courses are usually somewhere around 20 to 25 students per section. But as you move up to, let's say, like the math modeling course or differential equations, usually those courses are around 10 to 15 students. So they're generally small class sizes, especially for the upper level courses. And then the second question is, how does the class operate? Well, it really depends on the professor. So every faculty member has a kind of a slightly different teaching style. So if, for example, if you're taking the linear algebra course and that's taught by Dr. Stacy Rodman, that course is entirely proof-based learning, inquiry-based learning. So every day, students are working together in small groups at the whiteboard, trying to solve a theorem or trying to prove a theorem. So Dr. Rodman does not like lecture at all in that class. So students have to really learn the material in small groups, like with a little bit of help from Dr. Rodman, but mostly working in small groups. In other courses, other classes might be a little bit more lecture based. So I know, like when I teach, I mostly I give an overview explanation of the topic for the day, and then I might give some problems to do to work on in small groups, and just to make sure that you understand the topic and be able to do those problem solving exercises.
Oh, great, thank you. Let's see. I had let's see. So there's a direct message in the chat asked. They said they would like to hear some remarks from me and the alumni on how you found the subfields like AI, cybersecurity, etc., of computer science that suit you most in the long run. And then actually another question that was public in the chat was, when will we study a specific specialty? Are we going to study computer science in general? Will we specialize in 1 year out of the 4? So those are kind of related questions. And I'll tackle the first or the second question first, which is that in computer science, we at Augustana, we aim to teach people broadly the fundamentals of computer science, the core principles that kind of that every computer scientist should know. And I should also emphasize that, again, computer science isn't really a career. Being a computer scientist, I mean, at least for the most part, most people end up in different careers, whether that's a cybersecurity consultant or a database administrator, an information technology professional, a front-end web developer, a back-end software developer, a data engineer, lots of different things and different career paths. But computer science as a discipline provides you with the fundamentals that would be useful for a wide variety of careers. Similar with mathematics. Again, it provides key fundamental ideas and mathematical skills that could be applied to a wide range of careers. And again, most students that come to Augustana have not figured out yet what career they want. They might know they'd like to do something related to computer science or math, but college is a good time to explore some of that. So I wouldn't say you really specialize in one of the 4 years, but after you take a core set of courses, you can start to take some elective courses. An elective course on artificial intelligence, for instance, an elective course on cybersecurity, to again give you at least a taste of exploring what that particular subfield might be more like. And if you want to go really deep into that subject and learn a lot to become a real expert, then you might need to consider like a master's degree or gaining that experience through internships and careers in that kind of, again, that sort of sub area of computer science. So we really build a foundation, and then we offer some special elective courses on a variety of topics, but you wouldn't really probably spend a whole year specializing in one very specific area. Students also have a fair amount of free choice. Again, there's senior inquiry projects that were mentioned for your at the end of your senior year or during your senior year. You'll again work on a big project in teams, and teams will have some freedom to choose if they wanted to work on a cybersecurity project or an app development project, some of those things. But let's go to the alumni again about how they kind of ended up, and I think this has been touched on a little bit already, but how they chose the more specific career or subfield that they were interested in studying as a result.
I can speak a little bit to it. So we do have a lot of courses on different topics, subfields in computer science. I do remember we touched on hardware, we touched on low-level programming, like design or in OS operating system, touch on some stuff like that, and also databases. And that was when I realized I didn't like any of those. And senior in career was when I realized that I do like front-end development. So that was quite a journey for me.
Let me also just say, Ming did well in those things as well. It wasn't that you weren't necessarily good at them, but it wasn't something that you want to spend a lot of time doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I realized it wasn't my career. I did learn a lot of things along the way, but by learning them, I figured out that I might not be interested in grabbing those as a career. So all in all, liberal arts just provide you a lot of opportunity and options for you to choose from, like OS, low-level design, I don't know, even math and applied math and doing programming in math. That too is an option. So if you interested, you can always ask the faculty and professors for opportunities to work on those.
Let me also I realized Dr. Truong mentioned that that Henry was going to be joining us. And Henry, do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about where you're at now, and if you wanted to mention again about how you got to your career path and what was helpful at Augustana College or during your undergrad or career preparation, anything like that.
Nice to finally chat with you for the first time, Dr. Stonedahl, even though we have had the 4 years to do it. And nice to see you too, Sword. My name is Henry. I graduated in 2022. I major in applied math and I did a minor in accounting. So I'm probably the one that doesn't have the engineering focused track, even though I was a math major. But I'm currently doing consulting in Boston Consulting Group. So I guess we can still argue that there's a lot of the math piece that for I do as part of my daily job. So there's still some relevancy here. And Dr. Sono, was another question that you have about how do I get to career path? My career path?
How did you figure out to like exactly what you wanted to do, or how did you get that first career, or what was helpful to prepare for that, or how did you finally decide that was what you wanted among the different choices you could have tried to go?
So first of all, for all the students on the phone, this is personally what I'm gonna do, and Sword and Stono didn't ask me to do this, but I love our department. Even though I feel like I'm always a business person, I always like to spend time in Olin. I was supposed to, or I had the choice to choose. Well, first of all, I want to talk about why I chose applied math, and then that's next. I'll talk about my career path in a very, a quick moment. I would have the choice to choose applied math or English as a major in high school, and I went for English. So then it only made sense for me to go back to applied math to go full circle, and I did not regret at all to commit to our department. In terms of how I got to my career right now, I always feel like I love math. I love the number and the quantitative aspect of it, but I want to marry that with business. So that's why, and I also know that I would not be able to do software engineers like, other my Vietnamese fellows here on the phone. So I want to try to do something that I could use my math, like what I learned in the schools with the business aspect of it. So I started going for accounting. Then I was very lucky to land an internship there. But during COVID, I was in Vietnam for a year, and then I had the chance to explore other career paths before I decided to go back to accounting. So then that's when finance and consulting came into the picture. I had the chance to do like 6 months with consulting at BCG, so that was very helpful for me to understand actually what consultants do. What is their day-to-day job? And then it grew up on me. I really enjoy it. And then I got the chance to come back to BCG right now. And I couldn't, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. If I were to have I guess to look back on my career path and how I got here, I would say to the students that networking is important. Resume crafting is important. That's a skill that you don't have it from day one, and you just have to keep going with, just like you write personal essay, for example, like you don't have like the first version to be done, from the day one. And then I think the interview skills are also important to make sure that you're ready for, like the big days when you have interviews coming up, but also make sure that you are still staying involved with extracurricular activities in the school, because that will help you build your resume, right? And then obviously you have to do well in classes, which is the first thing that people will look at, especially I think for Augie, let's say we're not yet a big school. If you compare to like Harvard or MIT, for example, so I think that where you can shine is to have a really high GPA versus a Harvard kid coming in with a 3.6. Then at least you stand a chance you have a chance of standing out. So those are some of the quick takeaways that I have.
Great, thank you. I see a direct message in the chat just to me was said they want to ask if there's a specific program specialized for software development organized by the college. And I will say I think our major in computer science is particularly well suited for software development. We have a whole course devoted to that that students usually take their sophomore, junior year. We do quite a bit of programming in a variety of different courses, and our senior capstone, most of the teams are working on a software development, like app development or web app development project. Also, there are extracurriculars like the Web Guild, which is part of the Edge Center at Augustana, where a lot of computer science and graphic design students work on developing websites. They have over 200 clients that are real businesses and real nonprofit organizations that they maintain and develop those websites for. So it's a great way to get your feet wet in front-end web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then again, the students are really interested in front-end web development should go on and do more advanced frameworks like React, things like that, which they might do in their senior inquiry projects or actually some other projects too. We have a couple of students groups right now doing a hackathon. They'll be doing it this weekend, which is another way to kind of get some more software development experience. Also from the chat, Zeneb asked about Ming, but I think again, several of you had double majors. Briefly about balancing double majors. In fact, it is quite common at Augustana. We have a lot of double majors. Again, certainly lots of alumni who aren't here. We had math and like chemistry double majors who went on to chemistry oriented careers. A lot of computer science and creative writing, computer science and theater, computer science and business, data analytics is popular right now. So there are a lot of students who do double majors, but from a student perspective, how was it balancing a couple of majors? Oh, and I guess actually Ming did reply in the chat. I see that now.
I can also echo it back here. So for each major, you need to complete certain courses to earn those degree. And CS and applied math blend pretty nicely because both of them have some similar courses. And so I was doing CS. I know that I would like to do CS, but along the way, when I picked up some math courses, I found that applied math is pretty interesting. So I decided to pick it up as well as my second major. And it was pretty doable because I decided it pretty early on, I think in my sophomore year. So I talked to my advisor and arranged the classes accordingly.
Yeah, it's a great point. Most Augustana majors can be completed in 3 years. So with exceptions maybe like engineering, which has a really long, list of prerequisites and a lot of coursework. But apart from engineering, usually, again, if you figure out another major you love during your first year or early in your sophomore year, you can usually fit that in if it's something you're excited about doing. All right, I'll move on to Isaac mentions, does Augustana offer internships for computer science students? So again, that's an interesting question. So there are some internships come in a lot of different varieties. There are some on-campus internships, specifically from Augustana. Some students have done internships with the IT department. I think, let's see, Nathan mentioned that, I think, working with Augustana's information technology department. Students also get part-time jobs there doing basic IT maintenance. Maybe those aren't like really advanced internships, but it's still good skills and might help you decide if you want to go into an IT area. The Web Guild I mentioned earlier does a lot of internships. A lot of students do formal internships with the Web Guild. Those are generally unpaid, although you can use your Augie choice to make those into paid internships. And also a lot of students do that for course credit. So they may be doing like, instead of taking a course, like instead of taking 3 or 4 courses, they might just take 2 courses and do an internship at the Web Guild to work on the front-end web development. And that would count as 4 credits toward their, graduation and like whatnot. In terms of also then off-campus internships, there can be there's a couple other potential for, there could be on-campus internships also related to like data analytics sometimes with the institutional research office, but off-campus, Augustana will help students to find them, but in general, you still do have to apply and be accepted. Augustana can't just necessarily say, here, company, take this student. But they'll try to, again, find opportunities for you if you work with the core office, find places that might be good to apply, and help you with some of the process, including refining your resume, your LinkedIn profile. And someone did mention networking. Henry mentioned networking. I encourage all current students to network, in particular using LinkedIn because it's a convenient platform. And we have a fair number of Augustana alumni, both international and domestic students that have either studied computer science here and then gone off to interesting careers, or sometimes students who didn't even study computer science here, but are now working at Microsoft or Google for whatever reasons. And their path takes, sometimes they go off and do a master's degree in this, or maybe they started working there in human resources and now they're doing some kind of management aspect. So anyway, we encourage reaching out to alumni and talking with them on LinkedIn. And to get more career advice, kind of like you're getting, from here. But again, you can try to target people at specific companies. Maybe you're interested in working at like Disney. We have a computer science alumna that's working there doing ESPN/Disney stuff with sports software development. Anyway, so good way to also try to find potential internships or careers, or just get more advice from alumni. Let's see, do we have, let's see, other questions. Option to change majors for related subjects. Again, absolutely. Again, during your first and second years, it's pretty normal for people to sometimes shift. Some people think they want to study computer science, and then they're like, I take a couple of courses. It's not really what I want to spend my life doing. Maybe I want to do something else more business oriented in data analytics. Or on the other hand, we have people who just took a computer science course. They were thinking they were going to do biology or something, and they take a computer science course and realize that that's something they love to do, and they'd like to fit in a major. And as long as they did that in their first or second year, that's usually then quite possible to do. For example, actually, one of our STAR alumni started as a chemistry major. Nellie Chiboy, she came from rural Africa, from Kenya, and she really hadn't even had much opportunity to use computers, like even keyboarding, typing, before she came to college. But then she pretty quickly realized that she loved doing programming and stuff like that. So she switched her major from chemistry to computer science. And after she graduated, she went on, she did some technical job for a while in the States, but then she formed a nonprofit called Tech Lit Africa that focuses on bringing technology and technology education, computer science education to like middle school, elementary, high school students in rural Africa. They've been setting up schools with computers. Really, really cool stuff. She won the CNN Hero of the Year award just recently for her nonprofit work based on that computer science. So yeah, people can change majors. It's a great idea. There's all sorts of stuff. I can't keep up with it all in the chat, can I? Most memorable class. Ming, Sun, and Nathan have responded with the annual robotics contest. That's true. I haven't done that recently. When the COVID happened, I stopped doing the robot contest. I need to bring it back. It was fun. We do some other contests, and right now we do have 3 different extracurricular clubs at Augustana that students have started. For computer science, there's the Google Developer Student Club that's associated with Google and focuses mostly on software development and bringing in speakers, sometimes from Google, and preparing students for software development type things, help with internship preparations. They sometimes do hackathons or Google solution challenges. We have a cybersecurity club that's new, that started up this past year, interested in preparing students for cybersecurity related jobs, which there's a growing need in the world, I think, for cybersecurity experts. And also a video game development club, which is just fun. If you want to build video games, you can get involved with that club. Currently, the industry for video games is really tight, so career prospects, it's pretty hard to break into that field and whatnot, because it's very competitive, and not a lot of people hiring video game developers right now. But you build a lot of really good skills in software development, and so if you really enjoy making video games, that's a fun way to do that. Math modeling, yep, Sward's taught that course, some other professors as well. That combines programming skills in Python with mathematical problem solving skills. That's really cool. AI class, yep, that's an interesting class. I'm teaching it again right now. We're talking about some of the, I was just showing students, again, the coding assistance, like with the VS, the Copilot add-on for VS Code, where you can start typing some code that you're thinking, and then like pretty often it can just sort of guess the whole next 3-4 lines that you're going to write. And so we're talking about some interesting questions about, to what extent will AI replace humans in the workforce? To what extent will it enhance human abilities, make people more productive? And also, like, is it going to become self-aware and turn on humanity and destroy it? You know, we talk about some of those fun sci-fi questions as well in that course. Math to learn going to college for computer science. So, yep, Andrew, the required courses for computer science are Calculus 1 and discrete mathematics. And that's while you're here at college. So to be prepared for computer science, really having a strong foundation in algebra is very important, because algebra is the basis for doing calculus. And also algebra forms the basis for a lot of the discrete math work as well. So really strong algebraic skills, understanding logical thinking, and basic, you know, number data fluency. But I'm talking too much. I should maybe let some other, let's see, some alumni chime in about maybe, let's see, a solid foundation.
I actually had a question directed to me in the chat. It's about preparation, and we talked a little bit about this, but what types of like skills, experiences, certifications as a high school student should I be like making to help, you know, prepare me for college and for the workforce after? So I'll open it up to alumni, professors, if you want to chime in. As a high school student, what are the types of things that I need to be preparing for and looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested from the alumni. Did you do any computer science before you started college, or just, you know, because again, I think maybe about half of those students coming in have done some prior computer science work, and maybe about half haven't in our first introductory course in computer science.
Yeah, so I do have to go since I will start first. So I did have a little bit of experience doing a little bit of computer science in high school, but I think it was mostly just about learning the basic of like codings and doing some very basic things just to get me started on like understanding like what computer science is, or like what coding is, or what it can be used for. And I think that is pretty useful for me to kind of like get into college and start getting deeper into like the complexities of codings and doing like more like complicated stuff with coding. But I do want to touch a little bit on like the soft skill side of computer science, because I do feel like when people go into computer science, a lot of time people just like focus on like the technical skill, but kind of like forget about the soft skill. But I do believe that when you start getting interview or start getting like job like requests and stuff like that, like soft skill is one of the most important skill, like from my experience at least. I feel like it is important to show the people that interview you that you are someone that they would love to enjoy working with you on a daily basis, because the most important thing for people is that, oh, this is a person that I would like to work with, not just because like they know everything, because technical skill can be learned, but sometimes it will be very difficult to teach people how to kind of like behave, or like some certain aspect of like soft skills. So I do believe that like maybe like as early as you can, just focus on like joining different club, joining different like extracurricular activities, like strengthen your soft skill, and like have like a good personality, so that when people interview you, they can see you as someone they would enjoy working with and enjoy like meeting on a daily basis. I think that's very important. But yeah.
Would anyone else like to add to that?
Yeah, I can add a little bit on top of Sun point. So in high school, I did some kind of extra curricular activities, and it really helped me on the interviewing part that Sun taught about. So I practice a lot of STAR interviewing methods for those curriculum activities, and it really helped me during some of the interview process that I had. So I think having a strong foundation from what you learn in high school, then also mark it with some of the extra curriculum activities should help you a lot with later development in your career.
Yeah. And then another question related to that is like, how do we balance our, you know, our schoolwork with extracurriculars, with all these things that happen in college? And maybe alumni, if you want to speak on how you balanced your schedule with these, you know, computer science, mathematics courses that are a little bit, you know, a little bit more demanding with our extracurriculars. So how do you balance your schedule in college?
Yeah, I know some of you alumni were involved in things besides computer science related clubs and whatnot and extracurriculars as well. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the things you did outside and again, if those fit into your schedules. Like VSA, right?
Yes, VSA, the Vietnamese Student Association. We did that, and we pretty much TLDR abroad, Viet culture, doggy. Got events like TED and Mid Autumn was pretty fun. And also it helps with the soft skills that Sun mentioned too, because now you get a little bit into organizing and a more human side of like organizing the career and navigate your career.
I think, thanks, me. I think for balancing some courses between both computer and science and math can be sometimes a little bit challenging because um, like I think there are several classes that you want to take, but they only offer like one time a year or something like that. So I think one important point I have to reiterate is that you kind of plan ahead with your advisors and your professors talking about, okay, I want to pick this course. Should I do that? Would I be able to do that? So plan ahead would really help you with managing the workloads and other things from double majoring. And other than that, I think we just need to spend some more time on solving the problems or going to the office hours to get some help. I think the math major, at least for applied math and computer science, they do have a lot of overlaps. So although sometimes it may be a little bit challenging, but most of the time I think it was a very good plan.
I'll jump in here because I want to follow what Nathan just said about as well. So yes, my answer is also one simple word, plan, but there's various aspect of planning. So Nathan just mentioned planning ahead with your advisor, right? I think if you want to survive, you should also think about how you survive through the day, through the week, instead of just through the whole semester. That's also important because, for example, think ahead, like let's say Sunday night, spend 15 minutes thinking through what are the big milestones you have for the week. Like, and then you start thinking about how you get there instead of, okay, I'll survive day by day. It's like I had that mindset too of like, I have this today, but you may not have thought about like what you have 2 days from now, what do you have 3 days from now, which then if you have a little bit of time or you think about how you can squeeze it in a little bit earlier, then that's when you are allowed to have more free time. And in that way, I think that's how I would be able to balance everything.
It's true. Sometimes, again, some of the soft skills that Sun mentioned, and Sun had to leave, but again, he put in his LinkedIn there if you want to contact him or ask questions. Yeah, soft skills, time management. Time management is a really big, important skill that can be crucial for success in careers later on. So, learning also not to overcommit too much when if you try to sign up for too many different courses, too many different jobs, too many different extracurriculars, you may have to also realize your limits and try to prioritize those things that are most important to you. But again, a lot of our students do successfully do multiple things. We also have a lot of student athletes, student musicians who do music, other extracurricular clubs as well on campus. Do we have any other questions from the people in the chat want to know from?
There's one question that now asked in the list of the people who registered that I didn't hear anybody address it, and that is about the website to get like the best website for job and internship search. So maybe like a faculty, your alumni can share about it.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure. Personally, again, I would tend to recommend students to go to LinkedIn to talk to alumni and connect with alumni. That's that kind of informal networking approach to learn about, and hopefully you might be able to learn about either internships or careers that are not widely advertised, that would make, again, be less competitive. In terms of like big job sites and things like that, I don't know. I don't know what to recommend. Some people from Core might have better recommendations about like Monster or Dice or things like that. But yeah, how about any of you alumni? What were any particular things, useful sites for looking for internships or careers? Did you go through Core mostly? Did you search and find them on LinkedIn or other big job board sites? Or
For me, I go to LinkedIn the first, like that's my first go-to for jobs. Apply to LinkedIn, talk to recruiters, get their info, get reach out, LinkedIn. And I would also recommend job fairs. And if you want to attend job fairs, there is Grace Hopper, which is really good if you're a woman. You can attend and talk to a lot of people in the field. That's a women's only conference. And I know that we have had alumni who has a grant from the department to go to Grace Hopper. So reach out to the faculty. And also there are a few sites, Indeed, AngelList. I think they rebranded to something else. That's for startup companies. And there are a few sites, I think CodePath, that you can sign up for free coding classes. And they also have instructors who are expert in the field, like they work in big tech companies. So you can also network and reach out while learn about the tech.
yeah, I've noticed a couple of students recently that have been doing CodePath, or had that on their resumes somewhat. So it seems like, and someone I talked to did say they recommended it. They found it helpful.
I'd also say if you already know which, so the way I went was a little bit different, even though I also use LinkedIn, is that if you already know what career or like what industry, what companies you liked, then I would just go straight to the company's website because that's the most official way of you knowing directly whether the company is hiring or not. And then how you can verify it is to try to use LinkedIn to talk to someone in that firm. Also, that's one way you make the relationship, right? And then you would ask them, is this job open? Because sometimes like it's open, but like they already finished hiring, they just haven't closed the application yet, for example. So that's another way that I think I would recommend.
Yeah, I have heard that too. Again, I don't have a lot of expertise, but I have heard that sometimes, again, if you apply directly through a company's website, their internal thing, that can be a little bit more effective sometimes than doing it through like an, a big monster.com or something that's trying to do a bunch of job ads. Because the company then thinks that might be a hint that you're a little bit more interested in them specifically if you went to their website and applied that way. But it depends on the company and the different things like that. So. Another question, see, transition between being a student and a job seeker. What should I do in that transitioning time to better present myself to recruiters? Yeah, I guess unfortunately, in some ways, there isn't like a separate transitioning time. I think that's one of the challenges for students. That again, many students are job seekers again especially during their senior year. So you need to again be balancing your coursework and things like that while also spending time applying to a lot of different jobs, and even in again earlier sophomore junior year, maybe applying to a lot of different internships. And so yeah, I mean, I think those are things that students are working on simultaneously, is updating their resumes, building their LinkedIn profile, trying to find opportunities, talking with other students. I do think some clubs like the Google Developer Student Club is again provides some help and support for students trying to transition, especially for software development positions. They also, Core has workshops they do for students, like about resumes. So just kind of general workshops about some of those things. Anything an alumni would like to add about again that kind of transitioning or balancing roles between students. Now, again, some students, I guess, do just kind of put it off, but it's in particular for international students, you can't just like, your student visa runs out. So if you want to get a job in the United States, you have a limited amount of time after graduation that you can do that. Now, you don't have to find a company that provides like H-1B visa sponsorship or something like that right away, because through the OPT program, international students can work for, I think, 3 years in like a computer science or in technical STEM field that's related to their major. So you need to find a company that will hire you, but they don't have to sponsor you from a visa legal standpoint. But it is domestic students might have a little bit more luxury if they didn't find a job. They could spend some time, go back home, live with their parents and whatnot. Now, not all international students want to get jobs here in the United States either. I think many do. Again, the pay is pretty good here in the United States, again, things like that. But you do have students who also go back and work back in their home countries or in other countries after graduating. But most students are spending time their senior years trying to find those job opportunities. If you get lucky, again, maybe you do an internship between junior and senior year, and they really love you and they make a job offer right there. And then you don't have to spend your senior year worrying, because then you just kind of already say, I've got a job lined up for next year once I graduate. I do think the big tech hiring climate has gotten a little bit worse in the last year or two, which makes it more competitive, because some of the big companies that were hiring tons of people during the COVID pandemic, was kind of a little tech boom in some ways. Strangely, when restaurants and travel and leisure were all suffering hugely, tech was doing well. Everyone was spending lots of time on their computers. And then since things have kind of gotten more back to normal with the pandemic, a number of people have been laid off and let go at Microsoft and Google and Meta and things like that. Yeah, it can be a challenge. It can be a challenge working on that. But tips for better presenting yourself to recruiters, maybe. Let me hand that off to alumni, since I don't know that I have the answers to that.
I can chime into that, and thank you, Dr. Stonedahl, for that. To expand a little bit on that, I would say that like a random number, 1% of people would present themselves perfectly for recruiters. 99% they have to try and error, including me, so including like a lot of people here. So I would say to start early, like try to get through your internship at least, like refine your resume then. And then if you didn't get that perfectly, and if you get rejected, just don't worry. Know that like there might be more ways you can improve your resume, have that reviewed by someone, do mock interviews, and like improve your resume and go for internships again. If you fail, just try again, improve and try again. So that's pretty much the tip.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the.
And yeah, and probably until when you get into the shoes of the interviewer and see a lot of others people's resume, then you realize, oh, that's how people do resume. And so I strongly encourage you to give your resume to someone else who have more experience, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe at conferences, talk to recruiters. Yeah, that's why networking is pretty important in that realm.
I'll second the point about persistence. That's one of the advice. You're going to get rejected a lot, and that's the way the job market is. Internships, jobs. So, the key is just not to like get depressed about it. Take it in strides. Like, okay, that one didn't work out. Try again. And it's just don't expect your first couple of opportunities that you try to necessarily work out. The odds are against it, but if you keep persisting and keep building and improving, then eventually the odds are in your favor, and you can get something that'll be a good fit for you or worthwhile.
Any other questions at this time? I know we're getting to the end. I want to make sure we answer any other questions. You guys have alumni, we have students, professors here ready to answer your questions. Okay, so
Um, I have a question. Because some students, they forwarded to me news about new education policy, students to learn coding from class 6 in India, or another news about vocational education to be made mandatory from class 6 as well. So students who are interested in CS in India, they have to learn coding from 6th grade. And then I saw a bunch of other schools that they give a list of certificates that they suggest their students to prepare from high school to prepare for a career in CS. So if a student going to college but still haven't have any things related to CS, then do they need to do anything specifically to catch up fast and and prepare for the job market? Or would you suggest that the high school students should also start learning and preparing earlier, even before college?
I mean, I do recommend it, and partly that's again to learn whether or not, computer science and coding is something that you enjoy and are interested in, and whether it's because I do think we get students who come to our computer science 201 course, our introductory course, and they just, they either sometimes they really struggle or they realize that it's not much fun. It's very frustrating for them. I mean, I think one thing it's worth knowing and emphasizing is that in computer science, you're going to write wrong code regularly. It's like nobody writes the right code the first time. Nobody does it perfectly. Again, I've been coding for many decades and, I have a lot of experience, but, I sat down to write a program, it doesn't work, right? And that's just true for everybody. And then what the difference is, then you have to figure out what's wrong with it and fix it. That's called the debugging process. And for some people, that's just really frustrating because you're dealing with things that don't work most of the time when you're doing computer science. It's only maybe at the very end of a process that finally it all works. And for some people, like myself and I think Ming and Nathan, that the reward when it all works is really satisfying. It's like you feel really good. It's like, yeah, it works now. I have solved it. I fixed this problem. I fixed all these problems, and now I've accomplished something really cool. And for some people, the reward of it finally working doesn't overcome the frustration of all the failed attempts and all the time spent fixing things that you thought were going to work earlier. And so again, that's partly a mindset and a philosophy. But also, yeah, so the earlier you can explore more computer science, it does two things. It might help you identify if it's something that you will enjoy doing. And of course, having more experience will make it easier to succeed in those early courses because you won't have to be learning as much. So I definitely do. Again, it's not required. And we've had students come in with, again, no programming experience. Nellie came in with no computer experience pretty much. That's kind of rare. And you can still succeed in computer science, but I recommend, learn as much as you can. And you don't need courses. The internet is full of tutorials. There's lots of ways to learn code. It's kind of overwhelming how many different choices there are for free ways to learn computer science. I posted it in the chat about Khan Academy. They provide a nice introductory source for high school students to learn about JavaScript and basic coding, some other things. Yeah, I mean, there's free online interactive textbooks on Python. There's free online courses through Coursera and edX that offer these sort of massive open online courses. You don't earn college credit for them, but you can learn some of the same skills and get lectures from professors from MIT or whatnot. If you like to learn in those kind of settings, there's just YouTubers that do YouTube videos on learning to code in whatever language you might pick. So there's never been, I guess, an easier time in some ways to learn to code and to write code. And again, I think it's also important that computer science is beyond just coding. I was just reading again in the news, the NVIDIA CEO, who again, NVIDIA is just doing very well because they're selling all sorts of GPUs for AI and they're riding high on profits. And the CEO made a bold statement that's saying like, don't teach kids to code anymore because we're going to make it so that anybody can program just by talking to the computer in English or their native language, whatever it is, which I think is a pretty bold claim. And I am not convinced that the CEO of NVIDIA is correct in that. It makes headlines, it grabs attention. But it is true that the artificial intelligence is getting better at a lot of the basic coding tasks. And so that it may change the way that software developers work in the future. And it's going to make it even more important that people have higher order critical thinking skills, soft skills, like Sun was talking about, ability to communicate clearly, to really understand what people's problems are and how to solve those. Not just about the little pieces of how do I write little pieces of code that do these things, because a lot of that, some of the simpler tasks are going to really get automated. But I think it's still going to take experienced software developers to know how to see the big picture, to build software that's really useful for people and some of the kind of trickier problems, things like that. It'll be interesting to see how some of that plays out as well. AI is an exciting time, but I really think, again, even if you are trying to get software developed by talking to an AI system, the computer science skills that you have would be so useful and fundamental to understanding, again, just how computers work, how to do some of those things. So I see it particularly, I think it's a bright future for computer science, but the world does keep changing. So we try to prepare students for that as best we can.
That is great. So I think that it is amazing if students can figure out their passions, say for computer science or math from high school. But on the other hand, I know quite few stories, like we have Trang Hoàng. She, an alumni, she came to Augustana planning to do finance and business. And then she happened to take one computer science from her freshman, and she loved it and decided to switch to computer science. So then she got a job at Microsoft, and now after I think 1 year working in Microsoft, she switched to work as a software engineering for Amazon. Another story is Tiến, Tiến Nini. So she's entire time in Augustana, she have a double major in business and psychology. She just figured out her passion for computer science in her last year. So I don't know like how she prepared herself, but now she's working at Amazon as a software engineering as well. So even if you don't have you don't figure out your passions or your majors early enough, that is totally fine. College is the time to grow up, to explore about yourself, and then sooner or later, once you figure out what you love to do, there will be a way for you to reach your target and then to make your dream come true. Thank you.
I think we have, what is it? Would we end at like 10:30? We still have a little bit of time for questions if people have questions again, or about applying to college in the United States, about what you might do in college, living in the United States, international experience of coming over here and finding food, trying different things. We have at least one Vietnamese restaurant in the Quad Cities, right? I think
we have quite a few.
Quite a few. See, unfortunately, although Ming got me to go to some of those Vietnamese Student Association events, mainly I found I don't really like Vietnamese food that well. I'm sorry, but it was like my taste palette is not all that adventurous. So I tried some of it, but I don't go and explore the Vietnamese restaurants in town.
Yeah, no worries. But have you tried Vietnamese tea and coffee?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, we are running out of time because today's session was supposed to be 1 hour because it is very late in Vietnam. Yeah. But I do see one question, but it is for admission, like a student asking about what will increase their chance of getting scholarship to our school. So.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about increasing scholarships. So we give merit scholarships. Our highest is our presidential, deans would be the second, and then founder scholarships. Unfortunately, we cannot give any other types of scholarships like athletics. We do have arts and as far as esports as well. It's a very popular scholarship where you can get $1,000 to $3,000 extra scholarship. But on average, our international students at Augustana are paying anywhere from $23,000 to about $26,000 per year after international financial aid and after merit scholarships. So guys, if you have any more questions based towards more of the admissions process application, please feel free to reach out to our office at International Admissions. Today's was more based towards the computer science, the mathematics programs, and career building. But I think this is a pretty good place to stop for today. Let everybody get back to their lives, to sleep probably for most of you. But thank you so much for joining us, professors, alumni. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time today, this morning. It's been very, very informative, and I think our students really got a kick out of it. So thank you all so much for being here today. And I'm going to end the session here soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you especially to our alumni for taking time way in. We should catch up some more sometime. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing in your day-to-day jobs.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
And of course, always let us know if you're going to be back in the area. We want to bring you in for some other stuff.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you all, and I have to drop. Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to end the session now, but we'll see you guys around, okay? Have a good day. Stay warm. Bye-bye.